Another really interesting area is, which actually is a lot in the Bible. I was just checking this before we started speaking, but is the casting of lots. Lots are cast dozens and dozens of times in the Bible. And one of the most famous moments, if you're a Christian, is when the Apostle Judas is replaced by Matthias, and in the Acts of the Apostles, they cast lots to decide who should be the new 12th apostle. And again, it's a bit obscure quite what casting lots involved. It seems sometimes it could be dice, sometimes it could involve bits of clay pot. But I think there's a kind of elaborate process around the casting of lots as well, which means that it's a way of discerning. Sometimes I was thinking about whether it's a bit like this actually, that you cast a lot that interrupts your own sort of limited human understanding of things, and in that space the God or God might be made present, and therefore God's will might become known. So rather than, as it were, trying to work out who should be the next apostle, the 11 apostles said, look, let's cast a lot. That opens up a space that interrupts what we think should happen as far as we can understand it, and into that space a deeper wisdom might appear through the casting of the lots. I mean, it's a bit how I feel some tarot card readers use tarot now, that you turn a card and it's a particular card, but quite what it means then has to be interpreted. The resonance, the harmony with the card has to be found. So this is, it's not, again, randomness in the strict narrow sense of the modern word, but it's a disruption, if you like, to an otherwise limited human linear thought process that the ancients were really, really keen on in order to open up to these wider dynamics and so on.
Well, if you have a form of divination like the I Ching, which traditionally is done by shaking out yarrow stalks from a container, which we'd think of as falling at random, that's taken as a way of getting a reading of what's happening, or of divination. That's similar to casting lots, I suppose. Only it's not trying to make a decision directly, it's trying to get a reading, more like your tarot card example.
Yeah, and something like the I Ching, I mean, I use the I Ching every so often, and the experience is, it makes you think about things in a different way. It kind of opens up your imagination. And I think there you've got the notion of sympathies coming in as well, that the fundamental dynamic in the cosmos is not mechanical cause and effect, but it's much more to do with sympathies and participations. If in the pre-modern worldview, everything is a kind of intelligence that's unfolding, that's dynamic, maybe if you're a monotheist, as many expressions of the one divine logos underpinning all things. But the different intelligences, they're going to have interactions, and they're not just going to be purely mechanical interactions. They're going to be sympathies and resonances and harmonies, and sometimes kind of amplifications and so on. So casting the I Ching is about opening yourself up to that wider dynamic, where you're not just the only intelligence sort of solipsistically existing in the cosmos trying to work out what to do, but you're opening yourself up to a wider sense of things.
And would something like tossing coins in cricket, where you have to do which side bats first, you have to have a tossing of a coin, and the person who wins the toss then chooses whether they bat first, or that would be a kind of casting lots then?
Yeah, I guess that is about the when you can't make everything strictly fair, then you cast a fair coin, it could be head or tails, and then the way that it falls decides on what's going to be fair in that instance. You use a fair means to decide on what you can't describe as fairly otherwise.
Well, I suppose the key point then would be, how much is it possible for there to be a pure accident,